Hi everyone, it's Brenda from Artfully Blessed, and today is part 3 of our series, creating a journal from scratch using a kit. So on the first 2 parts, well the first video, if you haven't seen it, you might want to go take a look if you're a beginner. That just talks about how I get inspired, how do I even think about putting a book together or, a journal together. And so I take you through selecting a kit from Etsy or wherever else you have it, getting some other papers, coordinating papers from your stash, and, just things like that. So go ahead and watch that video if you're a total beginner. And then the second video, we went ahead and tried to do the cover with, I said I was going to do it on bubble wrap and or like a bubble mailer, and that was just a little bit too crazy. It's not going to work out for this particular journal. So I changed gears, and then we created this. As far as this was, we talked about how I put a couple file folders together, glued them together so that it would make strength for the cover. And then I covered it with some scrapbook paper, and then book tape was down the center here. When I left off on that last video, I said that I wanted my spine to show through and I was going to put tulle. I did change my mind. And the reason is I looked for my tulle and I thought, I only had like glittery tulle. I didn't really think it went with this really well. So I thought, I'm going to change my mind. And I have this green material in my stash and I really, really like it for this. It has that nice aged look. So what I did, I'm going to take you through what I did because I promised I would. First of all, I zigzagged around the edges of my journal. Just to kind of give it a little bit of texture and things like that. I did make some mistakes, but that's okay because, where you make mistakes, you can actually put something and, like my bobbin, I think broke in one of these or something, or I ran out or, things happen, right? So, maybe I'll put a folder on the back here or something, or just like a corner pocket, we'll see. But I'm not going to worry about it, right? Because I told you, we can always fix things. And then what I was going to do is I was going to also sew here and here. Now, let me tell you, so you don't make the same mistake, book tape is very thick and sticky, right? So when you go to do it with your machine, it does not like it. It kind of like really got stuck. I tried a couple times and then I gave up because I don't want to ruin my machine. So don't sew on your book tape. So lesson on that. Okay. So then what I decided, I'll just go ahead and I'll glue this. And I did that with Fabri-Tac. Fabri-Tac is very much meant for fabric. So you just take some, put it over here, glue it down, put it over here, glue it down, and so on. Now, the other thing that I did is I went ahead and I punched a hole in the center of my spine on the top because this will hold some dangles or something later. And I don't want to forget that, okay? So if you're going to have something that holds your dangles, and you can get these, I think these are Tim Holtz, but you can also just search on Amazon and you should be able to find things. Just look up junk journaling and there'll be a whole lot of stuff you can buy. But anyway, if I remember, I will go ahead and put a link to the Tim Holtz one for you if you want this exact one. So I did that. And then what I did is I used my walnut oxide from Tim Holtz and I inked. Okay, so when you put material, just because we're thinking we're going to ink paper, right? You can do it with material too. And then it really gives it a really, really nice aged look, right? So, I would definitely recommend that if you're going for that aged antique look, that you ink your material as well. Okay. So we're caught up so far on that. All right. Then what I did is I told you in the last video, I'm probably going to stick with those 4 signatures. Well, guess what? I decided to go with 5, and I'll show you why. When I do 5, it does spread out a little bit more even for me, and I think this is going to be the perfect fit for this. This is 1.5 inches, and so with 5 signatures in there, and each signature has, let me count the pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each signature has 7 pages, which is actually 14, right? And they're double-sided. So that's a lot of places for people to write or decorate or whatever, okay? So that's what I did. I decided which, how my pages were going to go in order. And then I went ahead and I paper clipped them together, and I did a nice crease using my bone folder. Let me see if I have it right here still. All right, that little baby's never going to be where I need it. But anyways, so you can take just about anything to do your crease. If you don't have a bone folder, you can use something else, like an old license or, a credit card, anything that you can make a good crease with, okay? But I do have a bone folder somewhere, and I did use that, okay? Just look a little bit more here. Oh, here it is. Yep, told you. All right, so you just take your bone folder and then you go ahead, give it a nice solid crease, okay? So you do that to all your signatures. Then what you decide is what order you want them, okay? And make sure when you're putting them together that everything is in the right direction, okay? So I wouldn't want this to be turning the opposite way. So if you have anything directional, make sure it's all in the same direction, okay? So then you put those all together, crease them, paper clip them, and then decide what order. I want this to be my very first page when I open my journal, because I thought it was really pretty. And then I wanted this to be my last. Okay? All right. So we're good so far. Now, the next thing I have to do is I have to decide what kind of stitch I'm going to do. The most common is going to be the three signature stitch, okay? Very easy. Most everyone does it. You could do 5, but 3 is going to be fine for this, okay? I mostly do 3. I did do 5 on my last one just because I wanted to try it out. So just look up different bookbinding techniques, and you can learn how to do all kinds. There's so many, but the most common, like I said, are going to be the 3 signature stitch. So then what I did is I grabbed a piece of paper, and I made it the size of my actual signature, okay? I didn't make it the actual size of this, but I made it the actual size of my signature. And I'll tell you why in a second. Then what I did is I folded it in half, okay? And then I opened it up and I drew a line, all right? I found the center point of the paper by folding it this way, and I drew another line, all right? So then because I have 5 signatures, I measured to see, okay, how much is from here to here? Can I get away with, like a 1/4 inch or what, between my signatures? So you can just take your ruler, whatever kind of ruler you're going to use, whether it be this kind or just the regular ruler, and then you can kind of see, okay, that's a 1/4. Yep, that's a 1/4 of an inch. Let me flip this around. Here's 1 inch. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 eighths on here. Or I could say there's enough room for me to go 2 on this side if I do a 1/4 of an inch, okay? Which works out perfectly for me, right? Because this is actually 1.5 inches. And so if I go center point, and then a 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch on both sides, I go ahead and I just marked little marks with my pencil at the top and the bottom, okay? And then I drew those lines, okay? The next thing that you do is you can take, you have to have something to punch, right? Something that you're going to make a hole with, okay? Most of the time, I will show you what I use. I don't think I put it in here. Yes, I did. Okay, so most of the time I use this tool because I like it because it's not really wide all the way down here. I don't want my holes really, really big, okay? You can also order an all kit or a bookbinding kit, which I have in the past from Amazon. And what's nice about this, guys, is it will give you a bone folder in here, okay? It will give you some little snips. It gives you some nice waxed thread. So this thread is very, very nice. It has nice wax on it. So it's very strong and it's easy to get through a needle, okay? And then it gives you an awl. Now, I use this sometimes, but if you look at this, see how this gets really, really, really wide or bigger at the end? This is fine, but I really don't want my holes that big. All right. If you're going to use an awl, make sure you control how deep you go with your punch in. So you don't want to go like all the way through, you know, you wouldn't go like all the way through the paper. You would actually just maybe stop about here so your holes aren't super big. Okay. So, and I'll show you that in a second with that. It also comes with needles and there's different, you know, how big those are as well. I actually, these two needles are also from this, and I would pick the smallest needle that you can get away with and still get your thread through. Okay, I'll probably end up using this one, but we'll see, because I got a trick for that too. All right, so I have my lines all drawn. I'm going to mark that this is the top just so that I know. So put a T there for the top because that will matter in here. And then you decide how far down you want to punch your hole. And this is whatever you want. I would say a good inch, maybe. Let me see how much I did. I eyeball it. And this is a little bit less than an inch. An inch would be about here, which would be fine. Okay, but I went just a little bit less than that. And then on the bottom, same thing. I went just a little bit less than an inch, but I wouldn't go over an inch. Let's put it that way, because you don't want a big gap at the bottom, you know, because when you flip your pages over, it might kind of look a little wonky. So then you draw your lines that way, you know, put your ruler on. Take your pencil and just do a little hash, 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 hash all the way across. Then you have your cross mark, right? Now you're going to take your pointy awl, whatever you're using, and you're going to just make holes in this, okay? But the way you're going to make holes in this is you're going to do it on here. So you're going to figure out where you want this, okay? Now, we want a little bit of space at the bottom and a little bit of space at the top. Okay, so I think I chose right about here. And so what I would do is I would take a paper clip and I would clip this to the top and bottom so it stays put, okay? And then at that point, then you're going to take your awl or your pointy, you know, your little jabber there, and you're going to kind of just poke a hole so it comes out the other side. Okay, so poking a hole, it's going to come out the other side. Okay, and you're good. I've already done this to save some time, and I just wanted to show you that piece. So there's that. So let's say that you got all these done. You have 3 sets of holes here. I'm going to move that aside. Now, remember we folded this in half. This is also going to serve as our template for our book. So we're going to take this, we're going to put it in the center fold. We're going to paper clip it just to kind of hold it on there. And then you're going to take your awl or your pointy, you know, whatever you're using there, and you're going to poke a hole. Now, when you poke your hole, don't flatten this and then poke. Try, you can have it there, but try to have this folded a bit like this. And that will make it come out more center, okay? It'll be more of a center through all your paper. So you're going to just poke those holes all the way through all the signatures. Okay. We're done with that. Now, the next part is fun because we're ready to sew these in. So like I said, you're going to want to look to make sure these are in the right order. They're all facing the same way. And I always start from the back. Now I need to choose what thread I'm going to use. Okay, now it is time to sew in our signature. The first one, remember I said I stack these, and then we're going to flip them, and we're going to do this one first. So make sure it's paper clipped. And then what I use for sewing in my signatures, what I've had the best luck with is embroidery floss. So when Joann's or Michael's or whoever has it on sale, you know, your craft stores, whether you shop online or not, when your embroidery floss is on sale, go ahead and stock up. And you know what I do is I just kind of keep it in a Ziploc bag, and then I have it. When you take it off of, you know, when you take this apart, there are 6 strands of it, and what I do is I split that in 3, and those 3 are nice and strong but not too thick when we're sewing in our signatures. So I have already pulled off enough strands here to do this, and what you want to do is make sure that you're going 1, 2, 3, at least 3 lengths, okay? You can do more, which I have in this instance, just to make sure you have enough where if you want some things to, you know, hang down maybe later, then, you know, you'll have enough thread left over. And now I'm going to take the first one. And it is pretty long. I don't need it this long. I just made it long because I just want to show you something. Okay, so now this has 3 strands in it. And so then what you want to do is you want to take one of your needles, and you don't want a large needle, so try to go as small as you can while still getting, you know, the thread through the head of the needle. I'm going to try to do this threader. And if this works, I'll talk about that. I'm going to try to do this plastic threader and then see if this will pull that thread through. And if it does, then I would highly recommend doing this. My one eye isn't very good, so sometimes it's a little challenging for me on these smaller headed needles. Yeah, that's pretty thick to go through there. I don't know that this thread is going to work. Yes, it did. Yay. Okay, so let me talk about this plastic threader. All right, took that off. And I'm threaded. Yay. Yay me. Okay. Please don't not thread. That's the only problem too, is when you have a really long piece of thread, guys, it cannot. So we're going to take care of that in a second. All right, so this plastic threader, it comes in a pack. It's like a dental, it's almost like dental. I remember using these on my bridges to floss. So, but they also have them in the sewing department, and they're cheaper at Joann's or whatnot, and a lot of them in the pack, right? So you could put your thread through there and then use this to thread into the head of the needle, which I would say is lots easier. So if you don't want your thread to tangle up as you're doing this, they also sell this beeswax at Joann's. You can get it online as well, but it's a beeswax holder. And so you can just take your thread now and kind of run it through here. So you know how we have those 3 pieces, right? This will kind of help those kind of, I don't want to say meld together, but it'll be good to do it. And I usually will do it just a couple times. And I think this is going to help me not have tangles in my thread. If you don't have one of these, don't fret. It's just one of those things, like, you know, that I wanted you to know about, okay? So now I have my thread, and now I'm going to sew in my first signature. As I said, this is the top. Oh, look at it came out, guys. Oh, I'm so sad. All right, I'll rethread it. That's fine. But like I said, this is the top, or the front page. This is the back. So I'm going to take this, flip it over, because I'm going to sew this in here. Okay, and let me zoom out a little bit so that you can see. I want to make sure you can see it all there. All right, let me rethread this real quick. Let's see if I can do it without my threader. Probably not. But I wonder if I do my beeswax and then try to thread it without my threader. Maybe that glob will hold it together. Doubtful. Yep. So I'm going to do it again. That's why it's nice to have one of these, because the metal threaders, you know, you can use once, and this at least I'll be able to use more than a couple times. It could break eventually, but I'm not going to worry about it because I have a whole container of them, right? So yeah, I told you that my eyesight isn't the best. My right eye is, it has a scarring on the cornea. Back in, I'm going to say 2021 maybe? It was either 2020 or 2021. I got shingles, and I got it on my forehead, but it quickly swelled my eye shut and went into my eye, and that was not cool, because it I went to my eye doctor a couple times during my bout with it and was treated with different things, but in the end I did lose part of my sight. So you know, if you're of age to get the shingles vaccine, I definitely recommend it. I did not have it at that point, the vaccine, and so I got a really bad case of it. All right, so, but you know, hey, it could be worse, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this in, and one thing to remember, if you're starting from the inside, your ending threads are going to end in the inside. If you're starting from the outside, then your threads are going to end on the outside. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So I'm going to go in the first hole here, center. I'm going to find the center on the back there. Now make sure you know your cover. Make sure you know which one is you know, your directional. Remember, we talked about directions. I'm going to go through there. I'm going to pull this through. And what I like to do is kind of hook it on that paper clip, just so that it has something to hold it. And I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to go in the top hole. And the reason why I did such a long thread for this too, guys, is if you're a beginner, you might want to have like a really long thread till you get really comfortable sewing in your signatures. That way you won't keep losing your thread. So I'm going to go through that. Okay. And right here, I'm going to find the top hole in my booklet here. Now, sometimes, let me push this up. Sometimes you might lose it if it's really busy on the outside, right? So sometimes I'll go on the inside and I'll poke that hole through, and then I can kind of, oh, there it is. I can see it. And I keep my thread pretty loose right now. I don't worry about it right now because I know I'm going to tighten everything up later. Okay, so there's that. Now, I'm at the top. I'm going to go, I'm not going in this hole. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. I'm going to go through my booklet. And I'm going to find the back right here. I'm going to go through that hole. All right. Got that so far. That's good. Tighten my thread a little bit, you know, kind of tug on it, right? See, like right here, this isn't good, so I'm going to really pull on that because I want that nice and snug, okay? So that's good. Now I'm going to go back through this center hole. I don't want to split those threads too much here, so you know, you want to be careful at this point. So let me go through this. There's my center hole. I don't have my threads split that I know of. Okay. Now, everything's pretty loose, and that's okay, guys, because I'm going to tighten. So now I'm going to go through my papers. Once again, trying not to split. And I kind of did. So let me go back. All right. Now, when you come up through this one, I want to come up on the opposite side that first string is. So, and if you don't come up that way, you can always, so I did split my thread a little bit, guys. I'm going to show you something here. Because I can tell I split it because it looks a little wonky right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this part back out. And as you wouldn't even believe if I told you what I did. I took them both out, but that's okay. I did not mean to do that, but I'm going to actually fix this because I did split my threads and I don't want to do that. And what I mean is this right here, I don't want my thread coming up in the middle of those other 3 threads. So let me see if I can get it apart. Perfect. All right. So see, now I'm not split, but this did come out. This was that very first one, but you know what? I'm not going to fret because what I can do is I can thread this, pull it up through there, and then thread this and pull it up through there. So let me rethread this. Normally, guys, this is going to be in the center already, and it's going to be held on there all right. But I made a boo-boo, right? So this is probably good to show you. Let me rethread this with my trusty little dental flosser thingy. I swear it's in the sewing department. I just think it's kind of funny. Come on. You were so good the first couple times I threaded you. And if you're really struggling with getting your thread through, just go up to the next size needle. You know, with a little bit bigger head, you know, that's fine. It's not going to be a problem. In fact, I'm going to do that with this one. Here's a different needle. It's a little bit thicker here, but I'm not going to fret. Okay. So I want to get through this with you guys. All right, you, come on. Behave. There you go. So I'm going to pull that through. Now, I want to put this up through that center on one side of that center point. So there's that. And this is how it would have looked if this wouldn't have come undone. This would have still been here. Okay. And now this part needs to come up. I don't need quite so much. This thread, let's see if we can thread it without my helper. Nope. All right, this thread is going to come up here. Okay, so now I have this, and now I'm going to carefully poke it through here, and I'm going to pull it up. And this time, I don't have split threads, okay? So let me show you I always try to place my needle back in my little pincushion, which I got at the dollar store for, I think, $1.25, just because I will lose my needles. And believe me, I don't want to step on them or anything. So now let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip this over, and I just want to look at the outside. Everything looks good. I'm going to pull my thread taut, okay? And then what I want to do is I want to tie one way, tie it the other way. Guys, does anyone have issues like this when they're filming like me? I'm telling you. Real world stuff here. See? You're going to say, boy, everybody makes it look so easy. And then you're going to be like, well, that Brenda Rodimer, she doesn't. All right. I don't need quite this much thread, so I'm going to actually cut this, and it should help me. So let's do a tie, and then tie it the other way. Okay. And just to make sure that this was in the center when you're doing it. See, that's nice and taut. You could do a third one or whatever. However many you need, just don't make it too bulky. Now, this is in. Perfect. It's the right way. Okay. And I have this hanging. You can choose to just trim this here. Or you could leave it hanging a little bit. I might leave it hanging because later I might maybe hang something here. So, you know, that is your choice. I'm going to go ahead off camera now, and I'm going to sew in the rest of these signatures, and then we'll be back and I'll show you the end result, okay? Okay, now that I have all of the signatures sewn in, you'll see that there are 5 signatures. I have them all sewed in to my cover, and that's how it looks from the side. Just kind of show you. It looks like that, you know, 5 was just the right mark as far as how many I should have there. And even though it closes like this for right now, as we add more things to it, like pockets and whatnot, it will get a little wider on this end. So I think it's going to work out really, really well. What I did too is I took, when I sewed in that signature, you know, I told you I had a tail that I was going to leave. So I left my tails. And then I just even them all up. I just cut with scissors and even them all up. Okay, so that's where we are right now. And another thing that you can do too to finish this off is you can take your bone folder and you can just kind of score it again, burnish it or whatever. But what's really fun is once you get these sewed in, then you can kind of, then they look so much better, right, than just having a stack of papers. It's hard to imagine how they're going to look. So now you can just kind of flip your pages and see that it's pretty cool the way that these pages just all kind of are seamed together. Okay, so we're good there. Now what I want to do is, oh, and then here's the spine too, just to show you. Okay, so I have all of my threads here, and then there's like this right here. I'm not sure that I love the look of this. This is fine, the both sides, but I'm going to probably end up putting a piece of lace here, and that's going to be our next step. So when I open this up, here's my signature, you know, here's everything sewn in, but I don't really like this black part here showing. It doesn't look real finished to me. And plus, remember earlier I told you that I made a mistake right here with my zigzag because it was just too, what do I want to say? It was just too hard on my needle. It was just too hard to sew through the book tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Fabri-Tac glue and I'm going to take some ribbon. This is, I think this ribbon was from the dollar store, so it was only, a roll of it was $1.25. So definitely look for deals like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and measure, try it from this side. I'm going to measure how long I have here. So if I go like that, and cut a piece, that looks good. And then the same thing here, I'm going to measure, cut a piece. Okay, I'll have this piece left, and I'm going to use that for the back right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue this down. Like I said, it's a fabric, so Fabri-Tac is a very good thing to use when you're gluing things down that have material or ribbon or whatnot. So I'm just going to take my Fabri-Tac and I'm going to just right here, kind of circle a little bit. Maybe do a line right here. Okay. And then I just take it and it might stretch a little, and that's okay. I can trim it later. I'm just going to kind of take it, kind of move it in place, make sure it's really secure there. And I want to leave it to dry for a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, you can take wax paper or anything that you have at home. I have parchment paper sheets. So I'm just going to take one of those and put it right here so it doesn't glue, the glue doesn't seep out and you know, get my my journal there. That'd be bad, my journal page. So same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and take my Fabri-Tac. Be careful that you don't go in where it curves here, or where it folds, I should say. You do not want that to have glue on it. I'm just gonna throw some glue on here. You don't have to overdo it, but enough to make it stick. And then once again, just gonna kind of push down on it just to kind of spread that glue a little bit underneath. It works best if your ribbon isn't too holey. I mean, this has a lot of holes in it, but it's a thicker ribbon, so it'll be fine. You could also use just a solid piece of ribbon. I like this crochet look though. And the same thing, I'm going to go ahead and put this here and turn it over. Now, like I said, I wanted to hide that part right there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I am going to, I'm thinking for a second here. I wonder, you know, if I had a larger piece, we could use that piece as a tie to hold our journal shut. That would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? But I'm not going to do that, I don't think, here, because I do think I want to put something over here to hold it shut. So what I want to do is, I think I want my ribbon to come to the edge here and then come to the edge here. So let's do that. Don't let it go in the hole, though, where your thread goes through, if you can help it. So I'm just going to go in between those, because I don't want the glue to seep through and get on my my journal pages. All right. So see, I just kind of flattened that out a little bit. All right. And then the same thing here. I'm just going to just do a little bit. You don't have to twist it around. I mean, it's up to you. I just thought I would try it with this one. And I'm going to just kind of cut where I think it should be cut. Okay. And I can trim that up later. That's fine. And then the same thing on this one. I'm just going to just put a little bit of goop there and then kind of fold that over. All right. And come in with my scissors and trim that. All right. So this is where we're at now. We have just a little finished piece here, just to kind of give it a little bit of interest and stuff. And it'll also hold this a little bit better, but I just wanted that interest there. And plus I love that ribbon. I think it's really pretty. And then, like I said, we have it on the inside here. And then we have it on the back side here. And it's not going to take a ton to dry, but a ton of time to dry, I should say. But give it enough time to, you know, dry really well before you take out this paper, because you do not want it to glue to the page here. That would be a little bit hard to pry apart, and you know, you're coming so far with your journal, right? So now you don't want anything to kind of mess that up. So this is where we're at now. We've sewn in our signatures. We've kind of finished the inside a little bit better, you know, with our ribbon. We can put pockets and things like that in here. It's not a decision we have to make right away. So I think in our next video, what I'd like to do is make, you know, decorate some of the inside pages. And we'll go ahead and we'll cut out some of the kit for that. We'll cut out, you know, things, the ephemera that comes with the kit. And then I'll probably also use some of the scrapbook pages that that I showed you in that very first video, to, you know, make pockets and whatnot. We might even do some fun things with envelopes and things like that. So I hope you're enjoying this series. I hope if you're a beginner that this is kind of helping you. You know, as you see with my videos, you know, there's mistakes made. It's not going to be perfect, but there's always a way around it, to, you know, to bring out the beauty in your journal. So thank you, and I will see you next time.